Hi everyone, I'm Emma from the Joy Journey and thank you for watching us today. I have a guest here by the name of Gemma and Gemma and I have met each other, I think it was probably about a year and a bit ago. And the lovely Gemma helped us to sell our house here on the Gold Coast. And we've now moved to Hervey Bay, which has been an exciting new adventure for myself and my family. And the reason why I've asked Gemma along today is to ask her some questions about how she finds joy in her life. What are the things that she does that gives her that excitement, that zest for life that I know that she does have. So thank you for joining me, Gemma.
Thanks for having me.
No, lovely. So if you're okay, do you want to let people know who you are and what you do? And
Yeah, okay. So I'm Gemma White. In a nutshell, I'm a real estate agent on the Northern Gold Coast, but I have done a lot of things with my life. From reality TV to having a Miss Australia title, to jumping out of planes for fun. I've done a lot of travel, but primarily I enjoy what I do and I am a real estate agent and have been for 14, 15 years. So that's kind of in a nutshell.
Yeah. I like it. and there were some of those things I didn't even know. So there you go. I've known Gemma for a year and I didn't know that, what was it, a Miss Australia?
Yes.
Okay, lovely.
A Miss Australia 2018 title.
Wow.
So I had worked extremely hard for about 4.5 years for that title.
Right.
And what I found through that, I guess, journey is I've done a lot of charity work, a lot of fundraising.
Okay.
I've always worked in real estate, has always been my first and foremost, and this is all things I've done on the side and outside of work.
Okay.
And so then I placed runner-up 2 years in a row.
Okay.
And then I won my Australian title. I was sent over to America to represent Australia. And then I placed runner-up overseas.
Right.
So placing first runner-up and being so close to the international title for something I'd worked so hard for was something I then had to take a step back for a year and really to figure out and decide who I am and what I am without pageants.
Yeah, right.
And kind of took a new direction. And then from there, that led me to reality TV. And
Okay, I didn't even know that. Well, there you go. I'm learning everything new right here. Great, terrific. So is it all right if I start asking you the questions? So the first question I have is, can you tell me about a time when you felt the most joy in your life and what made that moment special for you?
Probably what has brought me the most joy has been being around family and friends and having those shared experiences and shared memories. A very good example of that is I'm about to go to New York with my family. So it'd be a new experience altogether, but as I've grown up, often we've gone on family trips and family travel, and they're always memories and things you can look back at and go, those are such core memories growing up. So I feel like being able to have something where you can look forward to it, something you can work towards, but have those experiences booked in with family and friends, that you're not necessarily doing them alone, because you don't realize how many people are out there that actually love you and want to share those memories and experiences with you too.
Yeah, very true, isn't it? You don't, I think, especially if you've been brought up that way, to have adventures with your family and friends. It's just something that you do all the time, whereas I think there might be a lot of people out there that don't necessarily experience that all the time. So is there one particular thing, or is there many particular things, like a moment in time that you can really hone in on?
I don't know if there's really anything that I can hone in on that's one necessary experience or memory that I have. But I would probably just say it's those experiences. I have a zest for life. I love to get out, and I live life to the full.
Yes.
Work hard, play harder. I work extremely hard and I play even harder. So I feel like it's always important to be able to look back and just have those memories and kind of reflect on the year that you've had as well.
Yes.
So every single year I like to be learning and growing and doing something new. So if I can then look back, it's like it, and you kind of put all of that together over a course of 10 years and you go, wow,
yes,
like, I've well and truly lived my life.
Yes.
And there's so many joyful moments within that, so I can't say
yes,
there's really one.
That's fair enough. I can understand that. And I think it's only for me recently that I've actually taken note of those special times in my life, like given in a year is what I'm saying. So it's those special moments that I've actually written down or put in my calendar, and then when you get to that end of that year, you know, we do New Year's Eve. Sometimes I like to reflect on the year that's happened and then have a look at those moments.
So do I.
Because sometimes when you're in life, you forget to take stock of what you've actually achieved.
You do.
And I think that's really important that we take time for ourselves to do those things.
And life gets away and all of a sudden you can look back and go, where is 5 years gone?
Yes.
And I feel like for the rest of our life, we will talk about before and after COVID.
Yeah.
But as we roll into the next year, like we're talking that was 5 years ago.
Yes, but you don't
realise how fast time flies by.
Yes.
So if you don't take those moments to remember what you've done, how far you've come, and then also have goals that you can work towards for that next year, then life will just pass you by.
Yes. Yeah. And you're very, you are goal orientated, aren't you? Very much so.
I am.
Especially in that this last year that I've known you, and I just admire that that's what you do in your life.
Thank you.
I think it's given me a better understanding of me doing that for myself. So.
I feel like as women though, and I've seen this in a lot of people that I've even had in my own life and my own circles, as you grow and time goes on through your 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, that does change throughout time, and kids will change what that looks like too, and sometimes it's about refining yourself when you then do have kids, and then once they're a little bit older and they're leaving home, so that does change throughout time, in particular for women.
Absolutely, 100%.
Yeah.
I think when my boys were younger, younger than now, it was really all about them. And even though I was working and doing a few things that I like to do for myself, I think now is the opportunity, now that they're teenagers, that I'm concentrating more on myself than I have in previous years.
Yeah, it's your turn.
Yes.
And I've seen the same thing in my mum.
Oh, have you?
And I think it's only as I've become a bit older, and in the last 10 years in particular, that I can really look back at the times that mum has given up for us as kids.
Yes.
And through our schooling and what she was involved with through school and charity work. And I've kind of gone on to do a little bit of the same, but to really look back at that and go, mum gave up so much of her life and her time for us.
Yes.
That now that we have our own life and we're doing our own thing, then she's had to refine that as well.
Yeah.
So it does change for women in particular.
And I think that's why I'm doing the Joy Journey. I think because I did see that gap when I was speaking to my friends about how do they find joy in their life. And a lot of times they were finding that through family and friends and their children and things like that. It was when I asked them one particular question, and that was, how do you find joy for yourself, or how do you do joy for yourself, that they actually found it very difficult to answer that question. Mm-hmm. And I suppose that's where I'm on this journey now, to just highlight and show that we can find joy in different parts of our life. And even if it's just in the hobbies that we love to do, or it's reading that great book that you just can't put down, or walking along the beach, whatever that is for you, it's about finding time for you to do that in your life.
And it really comes down to creating those habits every single day or every single week, every single month, because otherwise, again, you'll get to the end of the year and you've not done anything specifically for you.
Yes.
Whereas if you can find those moments to get out for a walk in nature, by the beach or by the water, whatever that might be. Listen to a podcast.
Yes,
always
absolutely.
be learning, always be growing. If you're not growing, you're dying.
Yes.
So you want to make sure that you're doing as much as you can with your life.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you really stay in the same place. And you don't know when it's the end. You don't know when your time is up.
No.
So you want to squeeze every last moment out of it that you can.
Yeah, of course.
Which I think you've seen that I do.
Yes, which you do a lot. And it's funny that you should talk about routines, because I think that was one of the questions. What daily habits or routines do you practice to maintain, happiness and positivity? Because I create a practice for myself, which is every morning. I have like what I would call a ritual. Those practices are like meditation, and I need to go for my exercise, I go for a walk. And so what things do you do, Gemma?
Agree. Every single day I feel like you need to start your day kind of in a positive way.
Yeah.
If you can start your day in a positive way, get outside, move your body. It's good for the mind. I like to get up in the morning and go for a walk to get my coffee.
Okay.
The coffees are motivated to go for the walk, but regardless, I get up at least. And then I can start my day from there.
Yes.
It puts me in a much better mind frame for the rest of my day.
Yes.
It then means I've done at least moved my body a little bit if I don't get the chance to get to the gym, or because work's kind of taken over whatever else I have on in my day. But just to be able to create a bit of a routine, it's good for your mind, body and soul, really.
Yeah, it is. And I find that when I do those things of a morning, I'm, like you were saying, I'm clear-minded. I feel really present in myself. I feel like I'm grounded and I'm ready to go for the day.
Yeah.
I feel like if I don't do those things, I feel more scattered.
Yeah.
I feel like if something happens that wasn't really supposed to happen for that day, I feel misaligned.
Yeah.
I feel like I get cranky.
Yeah. It just sets your day up for success.
I agree.
By getting out of bed and moving your body to start with.
Yeah.
And if you can do something hard in the morning, whether it's a walk, gym, lifting some heavy weights, doing an ice bath, doing a sauna, doing something that's hard to start your day, you set yourself up in a way that you go, well, now I can do anything.
Yes.
If I've already been able to tackle something hard, now I can jump into this appointment, I can have hard conversations, I've already done something for me, and it's kind of, let's go.
Yeah. Interesting that you should bring up about hard conversations. It's something that I find very difficult to have, is those difficult conversations. I think because I'm such a kind, caring, considerate person, and it was only probably maybe perhaps just before you and I met, there was a few difficult conversations that I had to have. And, did it make me feel uncomfortable. But in saying that, there was something after having those difficult conversations that I realised, wow, I can have them and still have compassion and understanding for that other person, but I still need to honour myself in that.
And by having difficult conversations or by doing difficult things, you learn and you grow and you overcome.
Yes.
And growth only happens outside of your comfort zone.
Yes.
A little like skydiving.
Okay.
The reason I started skydiving in 2021, that was the year that I decided I was going to learn to solo skydive, because if I can jump out of an aeroplane, a perfectly good aeroplane, I can do anything.
Right.
So I did the ground school, I did all the training that was necessary. I then went home to tell my family that's what I was doing. They obviously tried to talk me out of solo skydiving. And now here I am, and I find so much joy in jumping out of an aeroplane because it's that moment of Centauri, that moment of bliss.
Okay.
It's outside of the comfort zone of what our bodies and humans, we don't think that that's a normal thing to do, which it isn't, jumping out of an aeroplane.
Well, you don't think it's possible, I think, because when you think about it, you get overwhelmed by it.
You do.
Yes.
And the way that I kind of look back at the moment, even the journey in skydiving, my very first solo skydive, when I jumped out of that aeroplane, because it was so overwhelming, I blacked out.
Okay.
So,
but hang on, you were solo
skydiving. You can't learn to solo skydive on the ground.
No.
So for your first 3 solo skydives,
Right.
you do have 2 instructors that jump out holding on to you to make sure you've got balance.
Okay, right.
But then by the time you are under canopy, you are on your own. You've got a one-way walkie-talkie, and they do try and direct you down to the ground because, again, controlling a parachute's also not a very normal thing to do.
No.
But that moment when I first jumped out of the aeroplane on my first solo skydive, I blacked out. They obviously saw that in my face, saw that moment happen for me, and they shook me.
Right.
And it's amazing how our brains can actually remember far more than we ever give ourselves credit for, because by the time I was shook and I came back to, and everything I'd been taught on the ground, I remembered.
Yes, okay.
And there's obviously, you take that into everyday life as well. And so often we get caught in the same mundane routine that we do.
Absolutely.
That you forget to do something new, something exciting, something that puts all your senses to life.
Yes.
Because it's in those moments that you grow.
Yeah. Well, I can understand that.
Yeah.
But I can really understand that. But it's funny how, for me, when I see you, Gemma, and just some of the discussions that we've had, you're doing it all the time. And I'm fascinated by that because although I'm getting more and more used to getting out of my comfort zone, there's still like pockets of times where I'm like, I just don't think that's right for me right now. I'll just sit in my lane. But then I get frustrated with myself. And I'm like, what are you doing? Like, you should be out there living life. So it's finding that.
Finding those moments to jump.
Yeah.
And we have a little saying in skydiving, jump and think about it later.
Okay.
Which I really like.
Yes.
And even before I started skydiving, I kind of did that anyway.
Yes.
I am somebody who crosses my T's and dots my I's. You can probably see I'm very organised,
yes, you are.
kind of systematic in the way that I do things.
Yeah.
But also being able to step out of my comfort zone, so that the thing that probably scares me the most is getting to the end, whenever that is.
Yes.
And not having been proud of myself or proud of being like, I did that.
Yes.
I did that moment rather than I was too scared to do that.
Too scared. Yeah. I can understand that.
Yeah.
And is there any points in time though when you're getting out of your comfort zone that you really are very uncomfortable? Because to me you come across as someone who is not uncomfortable, who's someone who just goes for it and just sees what happens.
I definitely am someone who just goes for it.
Yeah.
And I definitely am someone who's always been quite comfortable.
Yes.
And I feel like I can even look back at all those hard moments through schooling, through teenage years, through health and other things. And I think it's because of all of those moments that has led me to just jump out and do it. And I'd have to say that I have a lot of uncomfortable moments.
Yes.
I've done the same thing, and I can really think about skydiving is not a normal thing.
No.
Every moment, probably for my first 80 skydives,
Yes.
I was terrified.
Yeah. I would be too.
For 80 skydives. And yet I still got up, I still showed up, I still did
Yes.
it. It's the same thing even when I'm going into appointments and look, I've got properties of my own. I've bought and sold. I've been around properties all of my life, with properties that my parents were renovating and developments and all sorts of things. I've always been around real estate and property, but there are those moments where you go, why me? Why do I deserve that? Why do I deserve to work with that person? And why do I deserve to work on that property? And you sit in the car and you remember those moments and you go, you know what? Get out, think about it later.
Yeah. Okay.
The next minute you're in the door. And you're having conversations and you realise that we're all human.
Exactly.
We all have hard moments.
Yes.
And it's just a matter of how you respond with those hard moments that will define on what your path and journey looks like and how much you'll actually do with your life. Because, there are moments that I have, and I probably say it's weekly, where I'm scared about something, I'm uncomfortable about something, but it's just, I tell myself to get up and show up and do it anyway. And life is a roller coaster. We all have ups and downs. We all have those hard moments, but we've got to be able to overcome those moments. Otherwise, what's the point of living?
Yeah, I agree with you. And what's the point of being here on this earth plane if we don't give it I suppose a red hot crack, as an Aussie would say. And yeah, to try and show up for yourself though, isn't it? It's about still having those moments of being scared or unprepared or not sure, but still stepping through that and just seeing what happens on the other side.
Yeah, being comfortable in the uncomfortable.
Yes, absolutely, 100%.
Yeah.
100%. Oh, beautiful. Okay, so what about who and what inspires you the most, and how do they influence the sense of joy and fulfillment?
Probably the people that have the biggest influence around me would be family.
Yes.
Or friends, or closest friends, my partner. So when you've got those people, and it kind of comes back to that same saying as you are the 5 people closest to you.
Yep.
And you don't realize what an impact those people have until you kind of move a little bit further in life and you can look back at those moments. And having those people around, again, whether you're traveling with them or it might be a family dinner, but they're the type of people that when it comes to the end, they're going to be there for you. In your hardest moments, they're the people that are there for you.
Yes.
So to be able to then live moments where they're around and have the most joyful time with them as well.
Yeah.
Growing up, for instance, and I often talk about travel or trips, I like to look forward to something. I like seeing new countries, seeing new places. I feel like if you can, again, step out of your comfort zone, but it really lightens all of your senses when you travel, because you've got to have your wits about you.
Yeah, you do.
Stepping into a new country, new culture, language barriers. So being able to actually have those moments where you can have those people around as well, rather than having to navigate it yourself. But, you know, life is hard. So being able to actually step out and find those joyful moments with the people you care about is, probably they're the people that inspire me the most. I would probably say that would be.
And you're right, it's about proximity, isn't it? It's about the people who are close around you. And I think also too, how we vibrate, how you put energy and purpose and focus into your life is also, who you're attracted to, or who's attracted to you, and how people come into your life and for whatever reasons. I suppose that was like for yourself and myself. Like I was looking around trying to find someone, and here you are just down the road showing a home, and I walked in and you just had a warmth about you. But I knew that you knew what you were doing, and you were very professional about it, but you still had that warmth. And I think that's what I was probably looking for at the time when we needed to make that change in our life. So,
and you want someone that can do a job and do it well.
Yes.
But you also, coming back to that human element.
Yeah, I agree.
Is that you need someone who's going to come in and actually show some compassion and empathy to your circumstance, even if I've not walked your shoes exactly.
Yes.
Understanding where you might be coming from, so that I can best help you in your journey and where you're meant to go. So then by working together and coming back to that energy, as you said, it then helps that process to be a hell of a lot smoother.
Yes,
it makes a joyful journey rather than one that's very stressful.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because it's not something, I suppose, when we're sitting here now talking about it and honestly reflecting on what's just happened for the last 6 months in my life, it wasn't an easy decision to make when I was talking to you, and but you did make it easy. You did make it smooth, and it felt like I'm making the right decision. And I think that's really important, like you said, to make people feel comfortable. So how do you balance the demands of daily life while ensuring you make time for activities that bring you joy?
It's hard.
Because you are Trust me, she's a superwoman. She works from sun up to sundown. I've seen it.
It is hard.
So are you finding like, and I know we talked about the routine of a morning, or you may have a routine of an evening, whatever fits for people. I'm such a morning person, so that's where I fit mine. But do you find those little moments, or for you, because I know how you operate, is it very much a scheduled thing every day in your diary?
It is hard to find the balance.
Yeah, right.
But what I typically try to do is Monday to Saturday.
Yes.
That is time for work.
Okay.
That is time for business. But even within those little moments, there might be times where I'll go out for dinner.
Yes.
We'll have little celebrations throughout the week.
Yes.
And then Sunday, I try to make that a day where it can be time for family or friends or skydiving or getting out on the water skiing, jet skiing.
Yes.
And actually being able to have that time for me. So finding balance is hard, but it's not something that I necessarily find every single day. I do think that there are lots of ups and downs.
Yes.
You do have to be able to go with the flow a little bit, not let the flow kind of take over your life, but you do have to be able to move with the times, because nothing is ever going to go quite to plan.
No.
And I think that if you can be, although I'm very organised, but if I can be in a place where I can find a bit of a balance and try and still just find those moments where I get out for a walk. And I'd have to say I've been pretty bad at it lately.
Yes.
Probably for the last 6 months. Work has well and truly taken over. But I've had holidays to look forward to. So I've just been to Egypt to skydive over the pyramids. And I had 9 days over there, which was, I'd worked extremely hard up to that point.
Yeah.
And then I switched off for 9 days.
Yeah.
And then I've been back, I've worked extremely hard. I'm about to go away for 12 days. So it's just, I think over the last 12 months in particular, and look, even within that time, there's been hard moments. There's been times where I've had every virus under the sun. I feel like this year, we've lost my nans. There's been some very hard moments amongst it all. But kind of coming back to finding those little moments of joy and things that do bring me pleasure, and that's like skydiving is one of them.
Yes.
But I definitely haven't done as much of it as I would like to lately.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's I've noticed too within myself, especially when you've got children, and a lot of it is scheduled around them, of course, with school and activities and things like that. And then you get to the school holidays and you're like, oh, wow, I can let my hair down now, or I don't have to have as much of a schedule as what I would have.
Yeah.
But in saying that, I find that I work best when I do have a schedule as opposed to when I don't.
Yes.
And it is about, like you were saying, about the flow.
Yeah.
It's that ebb and tide. It's that, and then in some cases I can be really switched on, really ready to go. Yeah. I've got things organised. I'm all over everything. And then the next week I may not be all over everything. Yeah. And I think it's about giving ourselves that grace.
Absolutely.
And understanding and compassion for ourselves to know, well, this is life, and there are ups and downs, and there are things that take us off our course. But all in all, I think that if you can find those small micro moments or small 5-minute moments to fill yourself up, your cup up.
Yeah. And it can be as simple as heading out for a walk.
Absolutely. Yeah, it doesn't have to be
or
much.
listening to a podcast whilst you're on a walk.
Yes.
But even half an hour, just that moment to step away and have that reset. Yeah. It doesn't take much to be able to do something like that.
No, and I think it can even be in the car. Like even when I'm taking the kids to school and from there and I go to work, I can, in the between time, listen to a podcast whilst I'm driving, and I feel like that fills my cup up. But not everybody's that way inclined, but that they're those little micro moments that I find for myself to really help me to find that balance, I suppose.
Yeah.
If there's such thing as such thing as a balance. What advice would you give to other women who are seeking to find more joy in their life?
think the best way to find more joy, and the best piece of advice I would give, is to step out of your comfort zone. Maybe head to an event, attend a charity event, maybe volunteer for charity. It's that gift of giving sometimes, even when you step out and you do something that's not in your normal routine, and by what you give, then you get that back tenfold. And those little moments can often help as well in the journey to that.
Yes.
So, yes, I'd just say step outside of your comfort zone. Do something different.
Yeah, wow. It wouldn't be something that I would think of automatically about stepping out of my comfort zone. But no, I agree with you wholeheartedly. It's not something that I would have thought of to begin with. Now, how do you cultivate, and I think we've already touched on this, but how do you cultivate a positive mindset, especially when things don't go to plan?
I feel like I'm a fairly positive person as it is.
Yes.
But I feel like there's been so many hurdles and challenges that I have been throughout my entire life. So when I was younger and I was through school, I went through a lot of bullying. Not that weight plays a part on who you are, but I grew very quickly.
Right.
I towered over everybody else when I was at school. So when I was starting my teenage years, I was 22 kilos heavier than I am now. For that, I copped a lot of bullying through school.
Right.
So you grow thick skin.
Yes.
Then I went from there, I kind of found myself, found who I was, and I did lose weight over a very slow period of time, probably about 18 months, 2 years. In that time, what I was able to do is figure out what was good for me, that balance of your mind, body, and soul.
Yeah.
And from there, I kind of stepped into an industry which is very harsh, modeling.
Yeah. Yes.
So they critique every part of your body.
Yes.
And they critique and tell you how you have to walk, talk, eat, sit, dance, move, all of the above. So being able to then, again, find that thick skin through those moments and grow and change and evolve. And from there, I went in my mid-20s, I had a lot of health complications. So I think from the hard moments in my life that I have really faced and challenged, have grown me as a person anyway.
Yes. And are there certain, like, you know, in some instances people like to do affirmations, let's just say. Is there something that you would say to yourself every day, or is there something that you would say to yourself when you get up of a morning? Like, you know, in my meditations, you know, I'm very positive in my meditations. You know, I'm grateful for the person that I am and the person that I will become, and all these things I feel like enrich my mindset. And so is there things that you would say to yourself, or do you just feel like because of the experiences that you've had,
I think a little bit of both.
Yeah, okay.
So based on the experiences that I have had, as well as every single day, probably morning and night, if you can find 3 things that you are grateful for, when you are grateful for something, you're not able to feel anger and sadness. Those feelings do kind of leave your emotions. They do kind of get pushed to the side because you're able to find, even in your hardest days, even in your hardest moments or your hardest hours, to find something that you are grateful for is just going to change your mindset altogether. And it kind of comes back to that being a positive mindset kind of person. But when you do find those times and those moments, then it just makes it a hell of a lot easier to put one foot in front of the other and step forward.
Yeah. And I think too, also in difficult moments, I find that I need to sit in them just for a little while. Not too long, of course. Just for me though, I just find that I need to sit in it, and I'm such a crier, so I love to cry. Even at the beautiful things, I love to cry. So in those difficult moments, you'll find probably me by myself having that moment, but then also really understanding that moment or those moments obviously needed to happen for me to be a better human being than what I was from that experience as well. So and the last question, in what ways has your definition of joy and fulfillment evolved over the years?
I think finding those moments of joy is going to always evolve through time.
Yeah.
Coming back to through your 20s or through your 30s and 40s and who you are as a person, that is certainly going to change. And I look back at a year, I look back at 5 years, 10 years, and how much I've grown and evolved and changed over that period of time. It's significant. But it comes back to all those experiences that we've had and those hard moments that have defined who we are and the journey and path that we're on.
Yeah.
So I think no matter what it is, it comes back to a lot of what we've said of maybe finding those little moments within each day or each month so that we are able to actually make the most of the life that we have.
And I think as I have turned the big 5-0 recently, I've started to reflect on obviously the last little while of my life and how joy shows up for me, or how I perceive joy, or how I radiate the joy within me now is very different from what it was 5 years ago or 10 years ago. And I agree with you. I think it evolves over the time. And what I thought was really important when I was 20 is very different from what I think today. And I think for me now, it's more about like finding the joy within myself and taking those moments that are precious to help me to understand not only myself, Gemma, but really the people around me as well. And I think that when I find the joy, or you find the joy within yourself, like we talked about before, you do radiate it. And then, you know, it's infectious.
It's an energy aspect.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Agree.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you, Gemma, so much for joining me today on the Joy Journey. I really do appreciate you.
Anytime. Thanks for having me.
No, thank you so much, and good luck with the skydiving. I'm not sure whether I will try it, but perhaps I might.
It might be a New Year's resolution. We're almost there.
Exactly. Thank you so much,
No
Gemma.
problem.
Thank you.
Anytime.